Hi everyone, thank you for joining me again for another life story, I guess. And I like to call it life story because it's not just a story time, it's just not like a little anecdote. The story I'm sharing with you meant a lot to me and they made me who I am right now. So it's why I call it life story. And so I'm hosting you today in my beauty room, and I have my little ballerina bear. so um, this one is about my very first and only love at first sight that I had in my life, because I never had another love at first sight um, after that man. So if you want to hear about it, please stay tuned. Okay, so love at first sight, like in movies. Well, I was 15 years old, and my parents decided to get me into that summer camp in Austria. I don't know why Austria. It was just, the mountains, and it was green, and there was lots of sport activities and stuff. So I was at that camp with a lot of French kids and stuff, and we had lots of fun. We had lots of activities, and we got there, and within the first couple of days, it was so fun. We got along and everything. And I was at the cafeteria with my other friends, and we were out of water. So I decided to go to the kitchen of the cafeteria, and that gentleman was back to me, and I didn't speak a word of German. So I said, "Excuse me, hello." And he turns around, and there it was. I was like, um, uh, well, he understood what I meant. He didn't speak English, he didn't speak any French. I didn't know who he was, I didn't know his name, but I knew I was going to love him. I knew I loved him. I loved him. I seriously loved him. And you are going to understand what I mean when you hear the rest of the story. So basically, fills up my bottle of water. I go back to my table with my friends, and my girlfriend say, "Hey, what's going on? You look bizarre." I'm like, I'm in shock. I just fell in love. They were like, "Yeah, really? What?" And they believed me. What's cool about when you're 15 is that, everything is possible. So you're like, I fell in love. And they were just um, excited for me. They asked me about it, and they asked, "So what did you say? What he looks like?" And I said, "He looks just really handsome, but that's not what struck me most. It's just what I felt inside, deep inside. I had butterflies. Seriously, I had butterflies. It was crazy." And then I finally just, you know, get back into my regular lunch, and I got, I needed to know who was that young man. And so the day went on, and the days went on, and I got to know slowly that he was not from Austria. He was from Czechoslovakia. Back in the days, it was still Czechoslovakia, which is now Czech Republic and Slovakia Republic. And he was 18 years old. I was 15. He spoke German, but not a word of French and not a word of English. So it was not going to be easy. And it was kind of like not well accepted and not appropriate to be flirting with a guy who was, working for the hotel and stuff. That was a summer job for him. And we kept looking at each other. I could tell there was something going on. I could tell definitely there was something going on. I don't know if I've never thought of asking him if he had love at first sight for me, but I definitely had love at first sight for him. So I thought he was gorgeous. And every time he would walk by or I would see his silhouette, my heart would skip a beat and it would be, and even talking about it now reminds me how excited I was about it, because I was there for 3 weeks and you feel like 3 weeks is a lifetime. But no matter what, I knew that I wanted to get closer to him, and so I did everything I could. And one night, there was that, kind of the dance of the week going on, and he was a DJ or working at the at the club, and I ran into him in the hallway. I kind of not ran into him. I kind of always was where he would be, and I was standing right there, not moving, just staring at him coming toward me. And I knew he was going to go past me and then leave. I mean, it was his way. Then he just walked and slowed down when he came to me. And we looked at each other like that. And it had been a couple weeks, so I had just like a week left. I didn't know what to say because I knew he wasn't going to understand me. I couldn't say I love you. I would have been ridiculous. And love is an international language, because in that look we could tell to each other we liked each other. And so he was nice, he was gentleman, so he kept walking by and I grabbed him. I reached out to him and I kept him away from going any further. And I leaned toward him and I kissed him. Isn't that crazy? We had never talked, swapped, or exchanged a word, but we kissed. It was wonderful. It was great because I felt butterflies when I kissed him. And he left. He had to. I mean, we weren't supposed to flirt. And so for the rest of the week, we kind of hide and, quickly hide underneath the stairs or hide behind the door, or just say like things like, I like you, or what's your name, or just basic things and random things. And the day of departure was close. So I was so frustrated. I was so sad. Oh my God, I was devastated. I felt like he was the love of my life and I was going to miss him forever. And I was not too far from that. I was devastated to be leaving. And so I prepared a note with my address, not knowing what we were going to do with this, because I don't speak any German. He doesn't speak any French or English. How are we going to write to each other? There was no... I'm 37. I was 15 back then. Do you realize? It's 8. How many years is that? It's way too long. And I exchanged the note, and I don't know if he still has mine, but I still have his. His note said, my name is, he had a nickname, so he said, my nickname is that, and my real name is that. And he write his address down, and he said, I love you forever. I still have that note. And we had to take the bus. So that was right before I had to take the bus. And when I read the note, I said, I love you back. I said, I love you. Even though we didn't exchange anything. We didn't exchange much words. We didn't exchange mixed experience, like, having fun together, going to a movie or doing anything. We were just looking at each other. That's all we did for 3 weeks. And for the last week, we kind of kissed a few times. And I was in the bus looking at that note. That's the song I played in the bus. 14 hours drive. 14 hours listening to that music. And the song says pretty much, wherever you go, whatever it takes, I will wait for you. And it's pretty much what our story is about. This is called Right Here Waiting by Richard Marx. Oceans apart, day after day, and I slowly go insane. I hear your voice. So what happened next is that for the whole year that went after that, I had a friend, and I thank her because I know she's watching also the videos, and I want to thank you because you're a big part of that. She translated. She was very good in German. So I would write a letter. She would translate it. I would copy. I would send him the letter, and he would send me back the answer. She would translate. I would read. I would write again, and she would translate, and back and forth. We did that for the whole year, and I kept loving him, and I kept missing him, and I couldn't go out with any other guys for the next year. So much that I decided to go back to Austria. I begged my parents to let me go there again. So the next summer I went back there, but he didn't know that. I hadn't had the opportunity to tell him because, letters and stuff didn't get on time. And I was just hoping he would be there. I didn't have a clue if he was going to be there for another summer job. I went there, and for the whole summer, unfortunately, we kept looking at each other, but maybe he was going on with someone, but we didn't kiss. Oh, nothing happened. So I don't know what happened then, but it's okay. We again, when I came back, kept in touch. So for the year after, we again kept back and forth writing, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 letters at the max, because by the time my friend would translate and send back the letter to me, and I would make an answer, I would send it to her, she would send it to me back, and it was like that. She wasn't just a neighbor. I had to mail her the letter, and it was long. So the year after that, I moved to United States. So if you know the story, if you followed me on the earlier videos, I went there. And when I was there, we did keep in touch as well. Maybe a letter, maybe 2 at the max. But I never forgot him. I couldn't. What I had felt, even though I didn't know him, was so strong. Especially because I didn't know him and it was strong, made it even stronger. So after I came back from United States, and after all of that happened with United States story, we kept in touch, and he decided to learn English, which was really helpful because we started to communicate in English. Not a lot, but we did, and which was great. We finally got to exchange quicker, just a little, but quicker than with my friend. So remember, I was 15 when I met him. And by the age of 23, 24, I had broken up with a guy I had been dating for a year or two. And we thought, gosh, it's been 9 years now. 9 years, guys. 9 years we keep in touch. 9 years since I had that love at first sight. So I had to try to see him again. He had moved to Germany. He was not living in Slovakia anymore. He had moved to Germany, and we kept in touch by text message. Thank God the phone was there now. Cell phone was there. Internet was there. So he decided to come visit me in France. And guys, when he arrived at Marseille airport, it was the same. Nothing had changed. He was still as cute, and we had that connection I cannot explain. So we actually dated for real that time. For the couple of weeks he was there, we dated. I think we even got on a little fight, but it was a misunderstanding, a misculture thing. It's not important. He was not feeling too good at that time. For some reason, he was not feeling too good. So we spent 2 awesome weeks together. He left, and we knew it was it. We knew it had to be, you know. We thought, this is it. I mean, how can it not be it when 9 years after not seeing each other and feeling as much as love as we used to when we were 15, and now we are like 23, 24. He was about 26, 27. We thought, oh my God, this is it. I mean, we have to get together. So he thought he was going to learn French and move into France, and I really thought I was going to marry him. And what happened is that he kept getting sicker and sicker, and he said, I'm going to go to the doctor. And I said, okay, call me back when you get out of the doctor appointment. Tell me how it's going. And he doesn't call me after his doctor appointment. So I thought, oh no, he's maybe tired, and I'm going to call him tomorrow. So the next day he doesn't give me a call or a text message, and I basically text him and say, hey, what's going on? I mean, are you okay? And he said, I'm in a hospital. The doctor sent me urgently to the hospital. What? What? You just had a cold. What's going on? He pretty much said one of his kidney shut down and the other one is not doing well, and that he could die, and that he needed a donor really, really, really quick. And oh my God, I was so in shock. Not again. I didn't want to lose him. I had lost Jesse 5, 6 years before that. I didn't want to lose him. And he was so precious to me. I mean, the whole background, the whole story, he was so precious to me. I sent him flowers to the hospital and a little stuffed animal, I remember. And I don't know, he kept being distant and distant and distant to the point where he didn't want me to call him anymore. And he pretty much broke up with me because he said, I don't want you to go through this. I don't want you. You lost Jesse. You don't need to go through this again. I said, I want to be there. I mean, being with someone is being there for better, for worse. I want to be there. He said, no, I don't want you to. Leave me alone. He wouldn't answer my calls. He would not answer my emails. He had moved. I didn't know if he was still in Germany or if he had moved to Slovakia. I think he moved back to Slovakia to be closer to his family. And it was awful. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know if he was still alive. After a few months, I kept trying call him and text him and email him. He would not answer me. It was awful. It was terrible. He was doing this to protect me, which I thank him for that. I mean, it was a lovely gesture, but how could I not be willing to close and next to the person I loved, because I did love him so much. And the only way I found to get in touch with him or to have some news is I looked up at his Slovakia address, and I looked up at the street, and I contacted and emailed all the stores. And like there was a flower shop, a photographer, I don't know, like a supermarket, or I don't even remember, but a nice guy, a photographer, replied to me and said, yeah, how can I help you? I said, please go to that address and check if that gentleman is still alive. I don't know. He's my friend. He used to be my boyfriend. I want to know if he's still alive. He's doing okay. So he agrees to do that. He goes there. I think what happened that his mom opened the door, and he's there with his mom, and the photographer explains that this girl back in France is trying to get in touch with him and to know if he's doing well. And he pretty much says, I'm doing okay. Tell her to go on with her life and to leave me alone. So I just heard that, and I said, thank you to the photographer. Thank you a million times. And I decided to leave him alone, to respect his will, but it was really hard. It was really hard. And one day, I was at work, I remember, I received an email from him. And he said, I'm doing okay. I'm really sorry to have hurt on you so bad. And I said, no, I'm not mad. I understand you totally. How are you doing? Just tell me. I've been missing you. I've been worrying so much about you. And he said, I'm okay. I'm on so many medications and stuff. And so we slowly got back in touch with each other. But a year and a half had gone by. And I was dating someone else at that time. And he needed donors still. And I think he got it relatively quick. Unfortunately, a young man killed himself on a motorcycle accident. And he got a transplant. And so he decided to live his life fully, I guess. When he was not sick anymore, he decided to move back to Germany, but then he decided also to travel a lot, which he did and still does. And he decided one time to come to France, in Paris, where I lived back then. I'm from Marseille, the south of France, but for a few years for my job, I moved to Paris. And we saw each other again. I was 27 maybe back then. And we saw each other at the opera, and we went to a bar, and he was still as gentleman, as sweet. And he had something here on his, I remember his wrist. He showed me, and a really big scarf on his tummy, showing me that where he had his dialysis, like, when he would get his blood being cleaned by machines and stuff. All that I didn't get to know because he pushed me away from all that part of his life. But he had a transplant, and he's doing fine, and he has been doing fine since then. And we kept in touch. I was dating a guy back then, so nothing happened, of course, even though he was still that precious guy. And we kept in touch, and then he came back one time to the south of France, and I drove a couple hours to meet him over on the coast, and we spent the evening together, had dinner together. And he didn't know I was living that far. He didn't realize how far was my home from where he was. He didn't want me to drive all that way back to town so late. And it was that was only 3 years ago. So I was about 34. Yeah, 34. See how many years went by, and we kept in touch slowly from time to time, but still we did. And he said, I don't want you to drive all that time. So please consider staying at the hotel. But I told you he was gentleman, so he booked a hotel room for me. He paid for it. I couldn't afford it. It was a quite nice hotel. And I was in my hotel room, and I knew he was in another hotel room. And I wanted him to be with me for all that years that had been missing him, being away from him, loving him, and being away from him when he was sick. So I texted him a little message, and I said, will you please come to my room, at least to be in your arms? He did not come. And when I woke up the morning we had breakfast together, we didn't even talk about that text message. I still don't even know if he received it. I'm pretty sure he did, but didn't want to go on that path again with me. I think I know, or I hope that I'm still precious to him. He's definitely one of the most precious love story I've ever had. I hope you liked that story. So I love you all. Thank you for watching. What's up? And I love you all, and I give you lots of lots of hugs. Blah, 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 blah. I send you all lots of hugs and kisses, and talk to you very, very soon. Mwah! Love you guys. Bye.